Good evening.
Good evening.
How is everyone out there tonight? I'm going to open up tonight in my shirt sleeves, so it's getting warmer
Mm-hmm.
out, with a racing question for Paolo.
Nice.
Remember last week you were talking about how you were going to watch the electric car
Mm-hmm.
championship? Well, I was flipping by the TV Saturday, and it happened to be on, so I watched a few minutes of it. And the question I have is, do that sort of high-pitched engine sound, is that
Yeah,
real, or do they put that on?
it's real. It's from the electric engine.
Okay, because
Because
I wasn't
there's a
sure
part
what
that spins.
sound they made.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a part that spins which is the connecting to the transmission, and that thing is like 20,000 RPM. So it's much
Ah,
higher
yeah.
than an actual gasoline engine.
Mhm.
But it's a higher pitch because it's not made of the same metal, so it doesn't vibrate the same way. So uh, a combustion engine doing 10,000 RPM, it'll be a really loud,
Mhm.
and a 20,000 RPM electric engine is a.
My sister, who's a NASCAR fan, was not enjoying that sound. And
Uh,
I was like, I don't know if that sound is real, because electric engines are quiet, so I wasn't sure if they were doing something to make them have sound or not.
no, they're not quiet. If you have a drill at home, you know that it's not quiet.
I've had electric cars sneak up on me on the bike, but a lot of regular cars are quiet these days too. It's
Yeah,
like, whoa,
yeah, but
engine physics Friday,
yeah,
as did
uh,
Goblin.
but normal street cars, they have a bunch of stuff covering
Right.
up anything that's noisy. That's why
Mhm.
even gas powered cars, they're much quieter now than they were 40 years ago.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Uh, the problem is, since you use the same type of panels to enclose the engine in the electric cars, and they are quieter.
Mhm.
When they're rolling, you don't hear them.
Ah,
So when they go over 20 miles an hour, you do hear them because you hear the tires
right.
going over the road. But when they're going really slow around a car park, when you're looking for a spot, yeah, you don't hear. So they came up. I don't know if they have it in America, but in Europe, they have a mandatory. They are mandated by law to produce an artificial sound at 10
Yeah,
miles an hour so that people can hear.
right. That's what I was wondering, if there was some
Hmm.
artificial, because I can imagine them wanting to make an artificial sound that sounds good,
Hmm.
just for like the TV audience or whatever, just for the racing audience. They could make an artificial sound on the electric cars that sound more rumbly. Not that wouldn't be a bad marketing idea, I don't think, but who
Well,
knows?
they did create something for people who want their electric sports car to sound like a normal sports car.
Right,
But
right.
you only hear it inside. You're driving, and the stereo system creates a rumble like you're
Wow.
driving a normal car, but it's that one is really fake.
That's funny. That's for the driver.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, here I am driving my BMW, and that thing's trying to pretend it's an M3, but only I hear it.
Makes me feel more macho.
Yeah, so that people don't say that you're driving a toaster. Your refrigerator on wheels.
Nah. Wilson is under the weather tonight.
Hmm.
He'll show up if he's feeling any better. And Chris is getting ready for Free Comic Book Day. He has to do
To which,
work for Free Comic Book Day. Oh.
to which he said the current theory is that he's not ready.
Kit Goblin says, I want a car that sounds like an old modem hookup.
No, you don't. No, you don't. that would be extremely confusing because the sounds would have nothing to do with what the car is actually doing. So it'd be tricked.
I just want my bicycle crankshaft to not squeak, because that means it's coming off. I had the one thing I don't have the tool for on my bicycle is the nut that holds in the pedal shaft down the bottom of the crankshaft, because that needs a what's it called? The wrench that measures pounds per square inch. All of a sudden, the name of it flew out of my head. There's a name for that particular wrench. Because I know my brother-in-law and nephew both have them. I'll have them bring them down one day. Because you have to get it to the right pressure, I guess, in order for it to stay on. And I just have a regular wrench that I tighten up as much as possible, but obviously it's not the right exact. And it comes loose over time. It takes a long time for it to come loose, but it starts creaking. Well, that's when I'm like, oh, I got to tighten this up with my Allen wrench, because I'll just be pedaling, and all of a sudden, the pedal starts creaking, and I'm like, oh, it shouldn't be creaking. Matter of fact, the first time I found out that was what it was, I ignored it for a while, and then the nut that held the crankshaft in fell right out. It was like I got home, and it's like it's the crankshaft is in there tight against the axle, so that even with the pedaling on the pedal, it doesn't fall out. But I was like, huh? Shouldn't there be a nut in there? Well, what is that? Oh my! I can't believe I can't. It'll come to me in like half an hour. But an interesting thing I saw posted today was Marvel, Dan Buckley, who I know a little bit from my Marvel days. I think he came and went at different, I think he left Marvel and came back and left Marvel. He may have even left Marvel twice. But he's a vice president or a president. He's one of these big wigs now. And he was talking to the summit of retailers that they go to and have about pricing. And I think he blamed higher prices on the artists, on the creators. Because he was talking about how... Now, I'm not exactly sure what he was talking about, and neither was... This is thepopverse.com who wrote this article. How much should a Marvel Comics cost? Because, let's see, he said, and this is in quotes, "We know that pricing is an area where we need to adjust to fit your needs. We want to make it consistent for you and your customers," Buckley told a group of comic shop managers. "The bulk of the line will be $3.99 with new number ones and 8 to 10 core titles with top talent and top characters being priced at $4.99. The mention of the bulk of the line will be $3.99 drew immediate cheers from the comic shop employees, to the point of causing Buckley to get ruffled and surprised." I find that funny too. Like, haven't they noticed? I mean, that's one of the reasons I don't buy. I used to pick up some Marvel comics like on a whim, just I wonder what's going on in the Hulk this month. Oh, and I'd pick it up. But since they became like the highest priced comics out there,
I think that when you join Disney, you start taking some Kool-Aid, which removes all sense of reality.
Right.
You mean people don't want to pay $5 for a Marvel comic? No.
What are you, crazy?
They don't.
And then the website went on to write, as a snapshot, Marvel Comics published 66 new comic books comic book issues in February 2024, with 51.6% of those being priced at $5 or higher. When
Wait,
you
how many
take
comics
out,
total?
what was that?
How many comics total?
66 new comic book issues in February.
Yeah. Well, I thought there were more.
Yeah, so did I. Well, my mind is still in the early 90s too, and I knew they were publishing
No,
like
but
120 books a month, which was
in the
crazy.
last few years, there were like 20 Star Wars comics all of a sudden.
Yeah.
They're doing these weird Disney one-shots, and they do 2 events with tie-ins per month. And there's like 15 X-Men comics all over again and 10 Avengers comics all over again. And wait, that only adds up to 66?
Yeah,
Okay.
I was surprised that that number was so low. It says, what is it? When you take out the number one issues, which Marvel routinely makes more expensive for retailers and fans, it's a 50-50 split between $5 and $4 comics. When Buckley says the bulk of Marvel comics will become $4 in the near future, he did add there will be exceptions for event books, one-shots, and anniversary books. You'll also see a much more consistent pricing approach to those offerings, too, Buckley added. Marvel will also be aiming to be more predictable for retailers who, due to current print, retailers have to order. It says, and one of the comments from the website is taking Buckley on his word that the bulk of the Marvel Comics line will be $4. That could either mean some comics that would currently cost more than $4 will be priced down, or that Marvel will be creating a higher number of comics it believes are feasible, a higher number of comics it believes are feasible at $4. So it's like, where are these $4 comics going to come from? Is what he's asking. In February, Marvel had 4 titles priced at $6, all were first issues, and one at a whopping $7, Giant Size Fantastic Four #1. These comments by Buckley, who has been a Marvel Comics publisher since 2003, was a marketing VP there in the late 90s, gives us an excuse to dive deeper into the price of Marvel Comics. So I find it interesting that he says something, and he also somewhere in here mentioned of course printing and paper and ink have gone up, and I'm like, I don't know about that. Last time, because I remember 10 years ago, Robert Kirkman sort of myth busting that idea, because he was like, we still have Walking Dead at $3 because paper and ink hasn't gone up.
Mm-hmm.
He was saying that because there's fewer things printed, there's more competition to get things printed. So I found that interesting. So like, if you hear him giving you the paper and ink excuse, it's just not true.
Yeah. What the people who keep bringing up newsprint don't understand is that newsprint is actually expensive now.
Yeah, they're actually using the cheapest paper possible. That's one of my problems with Marvel Comics. They have the highest price and the cheapest paper.
The other thing, how many pages do new #1s have? Because if they're charging more for #1s, and there's still 32 pages or 22 of story.
No, they're bigger. They're usually bigger, but still. It's like I don't like to be, if I'm going to try something out, I don't want it to be more expensive. That's kind of like, I'm taking a chance here on a #1. I don't want it to be more expensive.
Sure, but they're giving you more pages, so that's okay.
That's okay. You're right. But still, it puts, especially with Marvel, like I said, Marvel puts me off the most. Just because, like I said, my entire collecting life, Marvel were always the cheapest comic. Marvel and DC were cheaper than the indie books I was buying. People would always say to me, why are you buying those black and white books for $3? There's not even any color in them, when, Marvel comics was $1.50. And it's like, how are Image comics, less expensive than Marvel comics on the whole? It's
economies of scale, because paper and printing were more expensive then, so you had to print a lot. but now it's not.
There were some Marvel announcements this week about how they're going to flood the market with new X titles every month for the next year or so. One new a month for 6 months or something.
Yep.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Although even though 66 feels that there are not too many Marvel comics, I do defend that for about a year or so, Marvel should only have 20 comics.
Yeah.
Quality control.
That'll never happen.
Yeah, that'll never happen.
It says, as Buckley says now publicly, Marvel increases the price on some titles with what it defines as top talent and top characters. Looking at Marvel February 24 schedule, the most prolific Marvel creators who don't have a title at the $3.99 level are Jonathan Hickman, Dan Slott, and the Amazing Spider-Man duo of Webb Zells and John Romita Jr. While talent salaries are rarely, if ever, publicly disclosed, it would seem to be given these four creators are paid more than whatever Marvel Comics entry-level page rate for creators are. Slott has been under exclusive contract for Marvel with Marvel for over 20 years now. And all have lengthy tenures at Marvel, with Hickman, who's spearheading Marvel's relaunch of the Ultimate line, being the most junior, having made his Marvel debut at 17 years ago. And Romita, the most senior, celebrating his 55th year in comic. I wonder if there's any other artists who've been around half the time as John Romita Jr. I mean, Marvel's who's been drawing Marvel comics for a long time these days? I don't even know.
Yeah. I mean, Mark Bagley's not around anymore.
He's not doing Marvel stuff anymore. He's been around for a long time.
When he does, I think they're doing those retro comics, like when they got Ron Lim to do a Silver Surfer or something, and Wheezy and June Brigman have been doing a power pack, but nothing monthly. So. So not even Mark Bagley, which is kind of Stuart Immonen, I think, is doing Kurt Busiek posted something about bringing back Superstar, so I don't know if Stuart Immonen is going to do that. Although Immonen's been doing his own thing lately, hasn't he?
Yeah. Says the more pages in a comic, the more it costs to create and print, right? While that math seems to math, it's not as big a driver to the total retail cost of a comic as you might think. While the most expensive comic for Marvel in February 2024 is the 48-page giant-size FF #1, the creative costs aren't for a 48-page comic. It contains the full 1964 comic story, Fantastic Four 33, in addition to a new story. So they're right there. The most that FF giant-size FF or whatever it was half. For these giant-size issues, sometimes are half reprints. So it's like, that doesn't cost that much. Let's see. When looking at Marvel Comics, new comics for February 2024, from the above, 81% of their 66 new comics have 32 pages. Now, that's not all new comics, as their paid advertisements, internal marketing for Marvel products, and various credits back matter. The norm for an actual comic content is 20 pages, yes. And while all of the $4 comics are 32 pages, less than half of the $5 comics run longer. Oh, wow. I didn't know that. So half of the $5 comics are still 32 pages. With the 40-page $5 book being #1 issues, which Buckley has said Marvel prices higher. No, yeah. Oh, I didn't realize that half. I figured if you were paying $5 for a Marvel comic, you were getting extra pages, but only half the time you are. The other half the time you're not. Marvel licensed comics cost more. Yeah. Now, hold on, and they show a Star Wars picture. That's not a licensed comic.
Well, it is, because they're different parts of the company. So one part of the company has to pay the other part.
That makes no sense. Well,
but it does, and I'll bring back engines just to explain. Did you know that the Chevrolet division of General Motors pays a company called GM Powertrain to use engines and transmissions developed by General Motors.
I believe it's all a scam to get out of paying taxes.
Yeah, exactly.
When looking at the 66 new comics Marvel plans on releasing, while no single character had comics only above $4, regularly all of Marvel's licensed comics were $5 or more. That goes for comics using characters from the broader Disney family. So what is the... So there's no benefit to Marvel for licensing from themselves.
No.
They may as well license Conan or whoever else if they can get it cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
But somewhere there will be a sub-manager of the vice president of sales of something.
Yep.
Who will notice, why are you spending money licensing that thing that does not belong to the mouse? You have to license from the mouse. Yeah, but that's more expensive. Doesn't matter. You have to license from the mouse.
All of the Marvel various Star Wars comics were priced at $5. And the Marvel comics it was publishing based on Disney's newly acquired Fox properties were $5 or more. Beware of the Planet of the Apes and Alien #4 were $5 each, and both Predator #1 and Alien Black and White and Blood were $6. The last two, of course, were first issues. While these titles may be easier for Marvel to license, as is being licensed from a sister company under the Disney banner, we can't assume there isn't other costs being incurred or minimums that need to be met. For Marvel and these partnerships with other parts of the larger Disney business, especially since Disney has shown little reluctance from licensing properties out to other comics publishers besides Marvel, if there's reason to. Yeah. Disney will license a comic to anyone, Marvel or not Marvel. If Marvel stays true to what Buckley said here, the standard price for typical comics without some sort of special feature, be it size, talent, or special event, will continue to sit loosely at $4. I doubt that. I like I said, I don't see how they get the bulk of Marvel comics under $4. If they can't get their licensed stuff under $4, if they can't get their Spider-Man and X-Men stuff under $4.
Mm-hmm. Because there are a lot fewer third stringers with their own comic right now.
Yeah.
Unless they are a tie-in for an event, and they're trying to convince people that there's a new character debut and you need to start speculating on it because rumor for proposed TV series 10 years down the line.
Due to higher cost of paper, the higher cost of printing comics, financial troubles at major companies which own comic publishers like Disney, Warner Brothers, and the undeniable need for creators' wages to grow and inflate, the rise of the cost of comics is bound to be discussion that won't end here. Yeah, but the financial troubles at other publishers should make the cost of paper and printing go down.
Right.
Because there's more...
all of a sudden the printers lose a customer.
Yeah.
And they don't need the downtime.
Right.
If you have a reliable number of new product coming in, it will be easier to negotiate. Can you put a new one in the queue?
Yeah.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Tit Goblin says, I walked past some spray painters today, and in passing, I said to put a dolphin and some flamingos. I'll check to see if they took my unsolicited opinion. How to improve your mural. Put in some dolphin and flamingos. Or put in, here's my first comic. I only got 5 comics at the comic shop this week. And I think 2 of them were first issues from my pull list. And the first one being Bear Pirate Viking Queen.
Why?
I thought it looked interesting. It's very artsy.
I suppose.
And this one is a $5 comic with a lot of pages. I think I counted I think this one maybe 60 pages. So someone commented on my poll list. There's 3 issues, and it's kind of interesting. It's weird. It's a weird story. Like I said, very artsy, which is up my alley. But it starts out with this. It says it starts with the pirate, but it's not actually the pirate. It's let's see. Is the guy British? I am Captain Paul Reddish of the Queen's Navy. I'm bringing bounty from the Horn of Africa. So it's about this. I guess he's British. Captain of this ship. He runs into pirates. The pirates take him out. He gets knocked in the water. But then he sees this swimming bear.
In the ocean?
In the ocean. Starts yelling at the bear. The bear is telling him to become what you are. Very artsy stuff going on here. And then I think it's a bear god. Hey, that's what Osborne means, of the bear god. Oh my god, oh my god. So he gets rescued, I think, somehow by this bear and gets into a fist fight with the bear on a ship. And then somehow takes over the pirate ship. So he becomes a pirate. The bear makes him become a pirate. So then he starts pirating around. Oh, he decides they're going to rob the Bank of England, which I think is why the Queen is eventually going to come in. But I have not seen the Queen yet. So he's out there being a pirate. Oh, he's robbing the Bank of England ship in the weirdest way possible. No way you could possibly pirate a ship like this, because it's a Bank of England ship with a warship near it. You know, the British aren't sending their Bank of England ships out without a warship.
Right.
So what the pirates did, I just find this so amusing. The pirates did is they got one guy in a rowboat to distract the warship. He kind of rowed up to them and went, "Wah!" Meanwhile, the pirates took and these are sailing ships too, meanwhile, rammed their ship while all the soldiers were on this side looking at this guy. They rammed their ship into the warship. To make it even harder to believe, there was no pirates in their warship. They had already left their warship into rowboats. So as their ship was ramming the warship, they could sneak up on the Bank of England ship.
What?
It was imaginative, but it would never ever work in a million years.
That's even more ridiculous than ENIAC becoming sentient and leaving its server to move to another server that doesn't exist.
That's no more ridiculous than a bear saving him in the ocean, you know. Like
that I can explain as a fever. No, the bear I can explain as a fever dream. Just you can't leave the ship and make it go straight ahead.
No, sailing ships don't work that way, especially with no one on them. Okay, big battle. So we've got the bear and the pirate so far. Look at that, nice double page look at a storm. Like I really enjoy the art in this one. It's just some fun, nice watercolor and ink. You know, we get a nice family portrait for a page for no particular reason. We're just getting a little more into the pirates. So then he's got his Bank of England ship with the pirates. They kill everybody on board and kick them off. And then what happens? I don't even think he's got a ship. Where'd the Viking come in? All of a sudden, I don't remember if the Viking came from anywhere, but all of a sudden a Viking boards their ship and kills everyone.
Why is there a Viking if they're
in the age of English sailing? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
it is a crazy. Does the Viking kill the pirate? I think the Viking kills the pirate with deer's antlers. So he's wearing these antlers like on his chest, and he gives the former captain pirate a queen, and we once again, I love this. I'm really enjoying this watercoloring. It turns out that the pirate was the sacrifice, and it ends with the Viking saying, "I am the beast of the cold. I am the cur born of snow, and I have hate in my heart, hate for the land that tried to curse me in storms. We go to England, you fucking dead men. We go to take what is mine." So I guess now the Viking is going to England to take on the queen. I don't know. It was nuts, but I enjoyed it.
Okay, so this is supposed to be some sort of mystical hallucination.
I think it's just a weird artsy comic. I don't know if it's supposed to make sense. Maybe it'll make sense at the end. Maybe it won't. It might be. The art is terrific. I mean, they get a lot of different styles go. I mean, a lot of different page layouts and double page spread. Who's the artist on this? It's by created by both of them, and then written by Sean Lewis. Art and letters by Jonathan Marks Barravecchia. Barravecchia. Barravecchia, I think. Or Barravecchia. I don't know. There's this. I'm going to make this bigger just so you can see the name. Because they're small.
Okay, so Jonathan Marks Barravecchia.
Like I said, I really like. I think I'm going to get the next 2 issues just because I enjoyed it. It's weird as all hell, but that's okay with me. It's okay that it makes no sense.
Well, I suppose this would be the type of thing that would appear in a 6-pager in Zap Comics.
Yeah.
But now it's a 60-page painted comic.
Yeah, let's see. How many pages was this? Oh, Liz is here. Hello, Liz.
Who is
1,
Liz?
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 times 4 is 60. So yeah, 60-pager. And I think this is supposed to be a lone wolf and cub cover sort of thing. I mean, the imagery is nothing like Lone Wolf and Cub, but sort of the bar down the side is. So I wasn't even sure if that's supposed to be a nod of the head to Lone Wolf and Cub too. I was like, huh? Because the inside certainly doesn't bear much resemblance to Lone Wolf and Cub. So why would the cover? And it's, the main cover. It's not a, alternate cover that maybe have a. So I was trying to figure. I'm like, do they want that to look like a Lone Wolf and Cub cover?
I
Oh, I
suppose
guess
it
the
is.
bear could be the cub.
Mhm.
Strange. But 60 pages for $5 is much better than $5 for 20 pages, as some of those Marvel ones were. But this is where it's also, does it even say limited series on it? Not anywhere.
And I thought it would be monthly.
Yeah, I don't even think it's monthly, only because it didn't show up on tonight's final order cutoff. But it's like, I don't know why they don't say if how many issues something is, like on the comic somewhere, because that would help me decide if I wanted to get this or not. Like, knowing there's only 2 more issues of it, I'll get it. But if it was a monthly comic, I might not. And I know one of the reasons that in the past that they haven't liked to say something is a miniseries is because, and like in the past, in the 80s and 90s, well, probably more than 90s, if you said something was a miniseries, people were less likely to pick it up for whatever reason, because the number one wasn't going to be worth as much, because in the 90s, people wanted continuing series. I don't know what it was,
Mhm.
but that was like conventional wisdom 30 years ago. To me, conventional wisdom should be, if this is only 3 issues, let me know. Because there have been comics where I sort of like them, but I'm like, I don't want
Commit
to
to a new
put it on my,
series.
what was that?
Commit to a new series.
Yeah, I don't want to commit to a new series. That's it. And it's like, do I want to commit to this? Nah. But if I know I can commit to 2 more issues. That's fine. I enjoyed it enough to do that. Because I think there was like, what did I just miss out on final order cutoff? Um, the new Archie horror one. I forget the name of it. That's because I've been picking up those Archie horror ones. But then they came out with a new Archie horror one that's coming. Last week was final order cutoff. And I did the same thing where I couldn't figure out whether I wanted to put it or not until the deadline passed. And that means, I'm not getting it. At least not on my phone. Maybe there's an issue 1 there, because they said it was, it was described in the solicitation as, first of all, it wasn't a one shot. It's a 3-issue Archie series. And it was described, and it was $5 rather than $4. And it was described as a premium Archie miniseries. And I was just like, what does that mean? And I'm like, do I want to spend $5 on an Archie horror? Or if I liked it, $15, sight unseen? And I was like, nah. And I didn't actually say nah, because then I was like, well, maybe I just put the first issue. But, the deadline passed. I forgot about it. The deadline passed. So it's like, not knowing what premium means and it being an extra dollar made me go, eh. And the same thing happened with that one I got. What one did I get last week? Barbarian, Berserker, Deathstalker. That was it. And it was 32 pages. And it was $5. So it was like, it wasn't a bad deal. But they were coming out with another issue of it. And I was like, did I like this $5? If you're going to make your book $5, I got to like it better than my $4 books. I mean, that's all it comes down to.
Mhm.
And I was like, did I like this one better than my $4 books? No. So I ended up just kind of letting the deadline pass for that. I didn't actually much like the Archie one, I didn't consciously decide not to get them. Just the deadline passed. You don't have these problems with graphic albums. You just got one price tag to look at.
Yep.
and decide.
Hmm. And you don't even have to buy an entire series. You
Right.
can just try one book and
Right.
not try the series again, even if you like that book.
Mm-hmm. Well, I actually do that too, but I don't know how much your average comic book fan does.
Mm.
Like I try a lot of first issues. Like I tried a fourth issue of Beneath the Trees where nobody sees stuff like if I hear something's good, I'll pick up, issue number 6 just to see. But I don't know how many comic fans still do that. Especially since, like you said, you don't get the full story. Like when you're picking up a graphic album over there, even if you don't pick up the whole series, you get the whole story in one
Hmm.
album.
Yeah. Even the what a lot of the French are doing, if it's one of a long-standing continuing series, there may be a subplot for the long-time fans,
Right.
just like Marvel and DC used to do back in the 70s and
Yeah.
80s.
Yeah. Yep.
Although there are a few series which are made, you have to go from 1 to 10,
Right.
even, which is kind of funny because you have to go from 1 to 10, and even then, the original creators give up on the book, even though they own it.
Huh.
That has happened. But
Now I wonder what would make them give up on a book.
they probably want to do something
They
else.
want
And
to do something. They're successful because I
yeah.
imagine if someone else is doing the book, that the book is successful and the creators are successful. So
Hmm.
you don't give up on a failing book and then someone else does it.
Right. Because usually the publisher wants another one
Right. Right.
if it's successful enough.
Yeah, I can understand that then. Because if I had a successful book and did, 6 volumes of it and wanted to do something else, I can imagine me going, yeah, let Johnny handle it. He can do it.
Hmm. Yep.
Not everything's as personal as a Terry Moore comic. I can't imagine like someone else taking over a Terry Moore comic.
Hmm.
Though they're about to take over a Stan Sakai comic.
That
Sort
is
of.
not going to look good.
Well, it's not actually. I just happened to notice it's remember the previews that Wilson was showing that we were talking about the pizza flying around the turtles in that Usagi Yojimbo turtles thing. Turns out it's not just I just assumed it was a one shot,
Mm.
but they're putting out something called Usagi Yojimbo and Turtles Saturday Morning Adventure comic. So I guess it's a kids comic and aimed at it's not done by Stan Sakai, or I forget who it's done by, but it's like, oh, okay, I guess he licensed it to do some turtle stuff with. So we'll get some non-Stan Sakai Usagi.
Mhm.
Though not quite the same one. Probably I don't know which universe it's going to take place in.
Mhm. When Dave Sim dies, what do you think somebody will pick up Cerebus?
Yeah, since he's going to make it public domain, I imagine there will be people doing Cerebus.
Mm-hmm.
Unless he dies, 30 years from now, there might not be. I don't know. I don't know how
I
long he's
can't.
going to live. I don't know how much interest there'll be for how long.
Well, I think Eric Larson will add Cerebus to Savage Dragon.
He will, no doubt.
You just know it.
Yep, I can see that happening. And he'll be propositioning, Savage Dragon's grandson. If it's 30 years from now, however long it is, because Savage Dragon takes place in real time.
Yeah.
Which is why it's Savage Dragon's son who's been the star of the book for the last, I don't know how many years. Malcolm Dragon.
Yeah. Well, Still, I'm trying. I'm always trying to do the math in my head. It doesn't add up. Malcolm Malcolm aged faster than real time.
I don't know. I'll have to go and see when he was born.
So
Because
when does Malcolm Dragon debut? Okay, so
as far as I know, he should be the right age, but I don't really know. I haven't studied it closely enough.
Okay, so Malcolm Dragon is born in Savage Dragon number 33, which is from 1996, which would make him 28.
That's about right. He was in his early 20s when he first started dating Maxine, which has got to be a few more than a few years ago now.
But how old are his kids?
His kids are a few years old now. They can all walk and talk.
Yeah. But the oldest looks like he's 10.
5 or 6.
No, the youngest looks like she's 5 or 6.
Yeah. I don't know because there've been a lot of kids, and there've been kids made by other people and kids cloned and all sorts of weird kids.
And Paul Dragon.
And Paul Dragon. Yo, all the world's a stage. Yeah.
I can't remember who did the Savage Dragon birth strips.
Savage Dragon what strips?
There was in the back pages there was for a while there was something called Savage Dragon Bird, which was like Dilbert but with Savage Dragon.
You mean like Dilbert and Savage Dragon crossover?
Yeah.
Okay, now I remember. Yeah, I don't know who did that.
All right, so here it is: Savage Dragon Full Frontal Nerdity. Okay, so Carl Hernal. Who's that?
Carl Colonel?
Hernal.
Yeah, I have no idea who that is. I know Chris Geruso did some stuff in the back of Savage Dragon, and Chris Eliopoulos did some stuff. They're the only two I know, because I know them both personally.
Well, when Chris Geruso is back from Free Comic Book Day, we can ask him about Savage Dragon Bird.
Yeah, see what he knows. Probably nothing. But who knows? He might have some inside scoop. You never know.
Yeah, the return of Savage Dragon Bird. Because nobody demanded it. That's something you don't see in comics anymore, because you demanded it.
No, that's because you don't see cover copy anymore.
Yeah.
Cover copy really doesn't exist. I guess it does to an extent when you get things like, is it really cover copy? Another comic I got this week that says the long-awaited sequel to The White Trees, a Black Sand story up there, which I always think says Black Sod, which SAD, Black Sad, which I know is a whole other thing. But
and European.
And European, but this is by Chip Zdarsky, Chris Anka, and Matt Wilson. And it comes with a map. All right. I'm a sucker for any comic that comes with a map.
That's right.
And I actually bought, it was only a single issue, I think. The White Trees, a Black Sand Tale. I don't remember. I remember it was like a double-sized single issue that I picked up. I don't remember what it's about. I don't know how it relates to this one. I'm going to dig it out and even look at it. But we'll show you some artwork in it. It was some solid art. Whoops. And there's elves in it. And some sort of royal intrigue. And a mother who I didn't know was a woman at first, the elf, looking for her daughter. But first they have to go to the orgy to find their information. That was actually a funny scene. There was funny, this main character elf, the one with the eye patch, is a woman. I didn't know that till partway through the book when they referred to her as a woman. I was like, oh, I just thought it was a dude. How many? Because these elves, she's got her hair tied, look like an androgynous elf with an eye patch. Like they gave a woman an eye patch? They never do that. So then her and this other woman, and they did weird things where they kept sometimes they'd flash back, and you have to pay attention to like the really thin color of the panel border. So sometimes I was reading it and it'd be a flashback and I wouldn't know it, and I wouldn't catch on to like a page in. I'd be like, oh, there's a flashback. I always hate that. Give me a caption. Give me a caption that says, meanwhile 10 years ago or something. Flashbacks with only like a change in color scheme, I find are less effective.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since I think the ones with that, see that little thin yellow border? I mean red border? I think that means it's a flashback, which doesn't look much different than the regular border.
Right.
So it's like,
see, this is why you need an editor, even if you own the comic.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to be in production saying, why is there a red border here? It's a flashback.
Well, it says Alice.
How am I supposed to know that?
Yeah. I just found it confusing. I don't know why you wouldn't use a caption. I mean, do they think captions interrupt the story flow? Because what interrupts the story flow is me getting confused.
Yeah, exactly.
But they don't get confused because they know what's going on. So it's like I don't get that.
No, it's that thing. Movies don't have captions, except that in many action, adventure, espionage, suspense movies, they do have captions.
Mm-hmm.
Something like Drop Zone, 0800 hours. You do see that in movies. So what's the problem with doing that with comics?
I have no idea, but it would improve the comic and would improve the storytelling flow, rather than me getting confused and having to figure out what time period it takes place in. But other than that, it was a good comic. They ended up fighting this weird frog assassin. The art was nice. So I've just got a bend to it. I don't know what I got a copy with that little bend on the end. I want to flatten it. I'm like, what is that bend? It's not really bent. The paper is just curled on the last like inch of the comic, and you can feel it as you pick it up. It's like, that's weird. I wonder what happened. But that's the only thing we got close to cover copy, which I don't need. It's more like a blurb, tie-in blurb. Ritcon reboots regrets Chip Zdarsky's Public Domain. The Eisner Award-winning series returns this summer. I don't think I've ever read Public Domain. Public Domain is worthy of a spot in any comic fan's library and deserves to be read by everyone who loves the medium. Greg Katzman, CBR.
Yeah, I don't trust anybody from comic book resources anymore.
Well, IGN says it's a superhero drama as compelling as anything with Batman or Spider-Man on the cover. Well, since Batman and Spider-Man are not compelling to me, that does nothing for me.
Yeah.
Oh, or Boris with a Y, Borys, Kit, the Hollywood Reporter, says the comic that is made for our times is finally here. I wonder if Boris Crit like just gives that same quote out to everybody who asked them to give a quote for their comic.
Hmm.
Because it's completely and utterly meaningless.
When reviewers are reduced to using cliches, they didn't actually read or watch anything.
Nope. The comic that is made for our times is finally here. I've been reading all these comics that were made for 1972. What have I been doing? But I think I'll order up one more issue of this to give it a. I'll give it a second issue to see if I like it. Once again, I don't know if it's a continuing series or a mini series. The only other one I read of it was a one shot. What's that all about? You read anything lately?
No.
No.
Well, I read a press release on the new Audi battery management system, and I had to write an article on it.
Ah, that sounds exciting. To write an
Yeah.
article about a press release.
Well, sometimes here's the thing: the car companies sometimes put these out about technology, but most of the people who write about cars don't know anything about cars.
Ah,
And which means that technology goes unexplained.
okay.
Back in the day, there used to be engineers who wrote for car magazines.
Right.
But
Back when
now
there
there
were
are,
car magazines.
yeah, but now you only have people who remember reading stuff written by engineers and have a sort of passing knowledge that's good enough to write an article about things. Because I always end up being the one to write technology because nobody else can be bothered about it.
Hmm.
Besides, 95% of the stuff that you do in car and the automotive press is from press releases.
You know what I never liked? New car smell. I don't know why people like plastics off gassing.
Yeah, turns out that's actually bad for your health. And that thing
Yeah.
is releasing particles that if you breathe them in, they're not good for your lungs.
The craziest thing ever with off gassing, and where I learned the term off gassing from my brother in law, is in front of my easel over here. I have anti fatigue mats. I have them in front of my computer over there, and I have a thick rug in front of my. And because I stand and work. And sometime in my late 30s, after standing and working for nearly 20 years, it started to hurt my knees and back.
Mm.
So I decided to try anti-fatigue mats, which are just like standing on a cushion. You know, rather than a rock hard floor, I'm standing on, and it works well, takes the pressure off my. But I bought those the anti-fatigue mats I got are the ones that they use them a lot in like preschools and things. They're like plastic and interlocking. And I got some of those. Bought them off Amazon or something. This is like 15 years ago now. And I put them together. They're about 3 foot by 3 foot square. So it's probably about, maybe less than that, maybe 2.5. 4 foot by 6 foot, let's say the whole thing is. And it was, when I got them new, it was off gassing so much that I couldn't use them. I mean, it just made the whole studio unbearable to be in. That's how badly it was off gassing and smelling. So I just left them out in the backyard all winter. And like after like 3-4 months in the backyard, I brought them in and they were fine. I was like, it was like a chemical assault. It was so bad. I was like, whoa, can't use these. And I wasn't sure I was ever going to use them. I kind of forgot about them over the winter.
Turns out you just need to air them out.
Yeah, for a long time. They had to finish off gassing. So that's what new car smell is.
Yeah.
All that artificial material off gassing.
Mm-hmm. Although a lot of the companies are now making a big deal out of making the dashboard out of recycled plastic. Or the leather, even the leather is now made out of recycled plastic, so that it can be sustainable and vegan. You have cars with vegan leather.
Vegan leather. Pleather. My reread of the week, which I wasn't sure if it was a reread or not. I didn't remember it. Was Gilbert Hernandez's Bumperhead, which came out in, when did it come out? 2014, so it's 10 years old. So I probably read it 10 years ago. And there was one thing that jogged my memory in it, which was this takes place. We can see in the back here, these are the 4 ages of Bumperhead here, which they just call them as a kid because I guess he had a big head. Kid, junior high, high school, and adult. And it takes, I think it starts in the 60s. It's the late, but by the music he likes, it takes place in the 60s because there he is. This is why they call him Bumperhead, because he had a big head as a kid. The kids teased him, and would hit him in the head, go bump. Like that, I think it took place in the 60s till the 80s. Except there's one kid in here who has a machine from the future that predicts the future, and it's an iPad.
Yeah.
So there's one kid in here who just always only shows up every now and then, talking about his machine, and they mention in the beginning it's an iPad, and he occasionally tells them facts from the future. Really has nothing to do with the plot, but that's the thing that triggered my memory of having read this, because I remember that from this. But you've never read any of the Hernandez brothers stuff, right? The Gilbert stuff. This really kind of what he does kind of coalesced for me. My idea of what he does kind of coalesced for me. Reading this is that Gilbert Hernandez creates characters and then things happen to them. That's the best way I can describe one of his stories, because he doesn't have any kind of normal plot structure. There's no first act, second act, third act kind of thing. And this one is just him growing up, and things happen to him as he grows up. His childhood was kind of defined by him being called Bumperhead, and he only had his father. He didn't nor we found out till he was an adult that his mother killed herself. But that's just one of the things that happened to him. And then he's a kid. He's playing with his friends, runs into other characters. They have little adventures. Things happen to him. He goes into high school. He has various girlfriends in high school. Things happen to him. Meanwhile, it's also about his love for music. In the beginning, like in the early 60s, in the late 60s, he liked sort of the out there rock and roll stuff. I forget the bands he liked But they weren't the sort of mainstream bands. He was making fun of them. Let me see if I can find some of his bands to let you know. Oh, he was really into Alice Cooper. That's the first band he was in. In the early 70s, I'm really into Alice Cooper. So he's into Alice Cooper when he's being, he in 1972. I'm now into T-Rex as much as I'm into Alice Cooper. But of course, there's only a few people who are into that stuff. And then, like, one of the things is one of his girlfriends in high school becomes a born-again Christian. And so they don't go out anymore. And it's like things just, so he found his next girlfriend there, and his next girlfriend does this. And he meets other kids, and they talk about bands and stuff. Oh, he's into Mott the Hoople. Here we go. And two random hipster friends of his make fun of him for liking Mott the Hoople. And like I said, his father is kind of one of the main characters in his life, but his father doesn't do anything but go to work and then come home and sit and watch TV all night. He's just like a really sad character. Then halfway through the book, his father goes back to Mexico. Because he's like, I missed 7 funerals. I have to go back to Mexico. But then he just stays in Mexico. So now the kid graduates high school. And one of the things he says too is like some of his other friends are planning their life. They're going to college. And he's just like, I don't care. I'll just get a job in town and live my life. That's good for me. But then, like, after a couple of years of doing that, he gets really lonely and depressed and he's overeating too, so he becomes fat. He stops listening to music. He like loses interest. He's obviously depressed because he's living by himself. He doesn't have any girlfriend. One of the most poignant lines I found in the book was like he didn't have any girlfriends for years either. Was like, I always took my girlfriends for granted in high school because there was always another girlfriend. Yeah. But now that he's out on his own, all he's doing is working and going home. He's got and his girlfriends who were ambitious left. So then, I think he has a health crisis and has what they think might be a heart attack. So that scares him a little. So then his one friend got really skinny by taking speed. He's been doing speed and got skinny and introduces him to punk rock. So as the cover shows, he finally gets back into music again, punk rock, and starts taking speed. So he gets skinny again. So he's happy again. He's into punk rock. He's skinny again. And he's got girlfriends again because he's meeting them in the punk rock scene. Listen, this all just happens to him. There's no structure to this happening to him. It's just like, and then this happens, and that's really Beto's brand of storytelling. Things happen to him. You're right, Undead Quit, and drugs happen to him.
The comic about nothing.
It really is. I mean,
yeah. So what's the deal with Mott the Hoople?
Whoa, let's get the deal. And then his father comes back after years and years of being in Mexico and him barely talking to him. And his father says, "Oh, I want to tell you, I started a new family down in Mexico and I have 7 kids."
Jesus.
And he won't tell him the kids' names. He just sits there, and Bumperhead is like, "And you just ran out on them?" And yeah, he just ran out on them.
Yeah, why not? He'd done it before.
Yeah. So, and then for the rest of the book, matter of fact, it ends with him looking middle-aged. Well, even old. He's got a cane. At the end of the book, he's got a cane. Whoops, where did that go? It ends with, so it's just the story of this guy's life. At the end, he's got a cane. His father is still alive and living with him. His father won't tell him who the kids are. Where's his last? Oh, he has a second heart attack. Oh, just before. He he's still a young man here after his father comes back, and he ends up punching his father in the face for not telling him who the kids are and leaving his family. Then he falls down and has a heart attack. And then this is when we meet some of the other characters in the book when they're old. He just shows us what happened to some of them. And like I said, it's just the story of Bumperhead. And I gotta say, I really enjoyed it, but that's I now can put Beto's work into some sort of words where he creates characters and things happen to them. That's sort of his storytelling style. Where it went downhill. Yeah, the drugs helped him out for a while. I think he got off them only because he was clearly depressed and spiraling out of control before he discovered punk rock and drugs. Oh, and at that period too, his girlfriend was one of his old high school girlfriend who moved away, her younger sister, who was crazy. And he couldn't figure out if she was crazy or not because he's not a deep thinker either. Once again, things just happened to this guy. So he just ended up dating this girl because she was around and she was cute and he kind of liked her and she liked him. But then her older sister came home and they had and occasionally he would see the real crazy side to her where she would go off on someone and just lose it. And then she'd come back and she'd be normal again with him. And he's like, is my girlfriend crazy? And he found her here. I think this is just before he broke up with her. He finds her on the floor, passed out, with a knife next to her. And he's like, okay, I've seen her passed out on the floor, all drugged out before, but what's the knife next to her? An obvious bluff, but what for? Like, he's not even aware enough to understand that his crazy girlfriend is really sad. And then she just breaks up with him. Because she caught him talking to her older sister again. And then she chased her older sister out of the house. Her older sister left back to wherever she was, and his crazy girlfriend just showed up with a new boyfriend one day. He's like, oh, I guess we're broken up. Okay, dodged that bullet. He would have just kept going out with the crazy girl because things happen. But I love Beto's. Beto's stuff is really good. His art is terrific. His storytelling is terrific. And nobody's telling a story like Bumperhead. But you can see why I didn't remember anything. And that iPad part is never even explained. He's just the guy with the iPad, the machine from the future and everybody doesn't believe him. It's like, that doesn't really tell the future. Fun stuff. Bumperhead. You got to start picking out some old reads to read.
Yeah. What did I want to pick? I can't remember. The Invisibles. That was what I wanted to reread.
What's that?
The Invisibles.
The Invisibles. I would have to read it for the first time. Do I want to reread Transmetropolitan? What did I just see that was coming out this week from Marvel that are in final order cutoff? I was like, huh? Let me see. Where is the mail? Oh, and for those of you out there who are Peter Bag and Hate fans, it's final order cutoff on Monday for the new 4-issue Hate series. It's called More Hate or something like that. Where is weekly final order cutoff for comics? Ablaze, Boom, Dynamite, Titan, Hate Revisited. Watch this. Right now, I'm going to press the little button. Add title issues. Okay. Hate Revisited is now on my pull list. All pending issues. Though only number 1 has been solicited now. By now, it looks like. Let's see. What was I looking at from? I was looking at a Marvel omnibus that I went, oh, look at that. Oh, $150 for the Dazzler omnibus. That's what it was.
$150. I'm pretty sure that you can pick up the entire Dazzler series for a lot less than $150.
Well, you want the hardcover on your shelf.
Yeah, and it probably has the X-Men guest appearances.
Yes. But I was like, Dazzler omnibus. Ooh, man. That would be like, a punishment to read that to me. Undead Queen. I like reading Lemire, the themes of family trauma and depression in all his books. I've read some of his stuff and liked some of it and not because like what did I read that I was like Royal City, and I read it. I got it all at once. I won it in a contest, and I liked the beginning of it. But by the end of it, it had like nothing to do with the beginning. It's like he decided to write a different story at the end, and it just kind of stopped then. So I'm 50-50, and I've read some stuff from Lemire that I've always wanted to read Underwater Welder from him. That's supposed to be very good. Marvel Masterworks Tomb of Dracula hardcover. So there's some more Tomb of Dracula stuff. White Widow, Welcome to Idle Haven trade paperback. Don't even know what that is.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so from my estimate, so the omnibus does include the first 2 appearances in X-Men.
Yep.
Guest appearance in Spider-Man, the graphic novel, the Beauty and the Beast miniseries, Secret Wars 2 number 4 for some. Oh yeah, it's the one where she dates the Beyonder, and Marvel Fanfare 38, and some bit from What If. By my estimate, you can buy all of these for less than $100. And I'm putting the 2 X-Men comics because they're part of the Dark Phoenix saga at 10, and even I'm not sure about that.
Undead Quinn says Underwater Welder is more depressing than Royal City. Wow. And also its final order cut off for the trade paperbacks of 2 comics I enjoyed. Our Bones Dust for $17. Oh, and the first Petrol Head trade paperback is only $10. That was a good one. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that one. IDW Hunger and Dusk trade paperback. I wonder what that is. By G. Willow Wilson and Chris Wildgoose. Don't know that one at all. In a dying world, only human and orcs remain mortal. Only remain mortal enemies battling for. Does that sentence make sense? In a dying world, comma, only humans and orcs remain, mortal enemies battling for territory and political advantage. That doesn't make any sense, that sentence. I think it's supposed to be, in a dying world, only humans and orcs remain, period. Mortal enemies battling for territory and political advantage. But that's not a full sentence. These, these copywriters, they're not selling the book for them. Soma hardcover, Distillery number 1. What's Soma? Oh, that's the... Okay, so now we know. I bought Somna, Somna, number 1, from Distillery. I think it was $9. It was graphic novel sized, i.e., European graphic album sized. I think there were 3 issues of it. I bought one and was like, do I really want that? I'm like, and I had no idea what the distillery collected editions would be like. So here we have the first one I've seen, the Somna collected edition, and it's hardcover for $30. So that's like $3 more than the 3 individual issues. Not bad. I would rather buy that than those individual issues, I think. Once again, I'll be the asshole. I would rather be the asshole than the sucker with something like this, because this isn't any kind of. I knew buying it that it was sort of supposed to be a graphic novel. It wasn't supposed to be a continuing series. The mass market hardcover contains the entire hit 3 issues. There we go. Which means you'll get it at Amazon for $22. So I'm glad I'm not buying any of this distillery stuff. Because it's not like I was buying the who were they? What was the name of the company that Mike Martz moved from when he went to Mad Cave? Aftershock. Aftershock. Right. That was it. Aftershock was doing those graphic novels, but they were like one shot. They were like, 44 pages for $7 at the graphic album size. Those I'm okay with, because I knew that those distillery ones were going to be collected into hardcovers or something right away, even. So even I was like, I don't want to be the sucker on these ones. Tit Goblin says, I want a comic of just the Bill Sienkiewicz covers from Dazzler. A comic of covers. I'm sure there's buyers for that. I'm a sucker for a book full of covers. I've got to show you what a sucker I am for a book of covers. One of the books I have in the back there is, do you remember the DC series 52?
Yeah.
Before the new 52. They had a weekly series called 52. And who did the covers for them? J.G. Jones, was that his name? Or was that someone else?
May have been someone else.
I can't remember who did the covers for them. But he did a good job with them too. But I bought a book of just those. It's called like 52 covers or something like that. And that's still on my shelf back there in my books about covers section. So I would buy a book of bad comic book covers. They have a new Flash Gordon comic coming out. So I've never been interested in Flash Gordon. That's so far before my time. I've bought a few Flash Gordon comics. I've got the Al Williamson Flash Gordon movie adaptation graphic novel. Have you read much Flash Gordon stuff?
Well, on and off. Huh. I have some modern reinterpretations. And I have somewhere around here a couple of the old newspaper strips.
Yeah, Vertigo. I think there's been like a Dave McKean cover collections. I don't think I got that one, but I think there have been Vertigo ones. You're right. I have, but I don't have any of those. What version? $30 or $60 edition with all the covers? I only saw the $30 edition in there of the Somnar, and I really like the art on it. I wonder how nicely it'll be bound, because if it's bound nicely and opens up flat, I might give one of those distillery graphic novels a try, just for the heck of it. Just for the heck of it. Yeah, I've kind of, toyed with the idea, speaking of reading old things, of of doing like I've always wanted to kind of do a comic book club, but getting everybody, first of all, getting people to read comics at all, like even comic book fans, getting them to read comics, let alone a specific comic, is like a lot of work. It's way more work than is doable. So it'll be fun, like, you know, everybody reads the same comic this week, and we can have a book club and talk about it on YouTube or something. But man, it is just impossible. It's like herding cats. I mean, that's how, from what I hear, that's what most book clubs are. At least half the people show up never having read the book. I was just talking to a fellow teacher, fellow professor, who was informing me about, sometimes they have these things with, I forget their name. They're like an education thing where they'll pay you a stipend for doing this, something to do with education or whatever. And she's like reading a book and discussing the book or reviewing it or something like that with a bunch of people. And she's like, I did 2 of them and I was the only one who read the book. It's like people are just there to pick up the paycheck. I was like, okay. I'm a sucker getting White Boat. That's one of the distilleries. Yeah. Francesco Francavilla has sold me to get it. I don't think I've seen White. I remember reading. I read White Boat in the preview, but I don't remember seeing more Francesca. Maybe it was Distillery, and I just kind of passed it by. There was a graphic novel. I can't remember who put it out. Like, once again, the graphic novel size. Was it DC? It was the 100 Bullets guys. Azzarello and Rizzo, right? Which I'm not a fan of Azzarello's writing, so I didn't pick it up, but I like Rizzo's artwork. Hence Torpedo 1972. It was the preview, so that hasn't come out yet. The White Boat. White Boat. I got an offer on an eBay thing I was looking at. That's why if you're buying something off of eBay, put it on your wish list first. Put it on your wish list. Someone might say, not comic book stuff, you usually don't get an offer. But like shirts, I think I got this shirt off of eBay. A Tommy Hilfiger vintage shirt. The Blood Brothers. The Blood Brothers mother. Yes, I think that was it you're talking about. Yes, that's the one I just saw. And like I said, I really like Edward Rizzo's art, but I'm just not a fan of the writing. Have you read much Azzarello stuff, Paolo?
I think I did, but I don't have much Azzarello in the house.
No?
No, it's not the type of guy that, okay, I want to try this. Not even 100 Bullets.
You read it once and that's enough?
Yeah.
Nothing worth coming. I did get a bunch of my
No, wait, I do have an Azzarello. No, wait, or is that a Mike Carey? Do I have the Mike Carey L Blazer or the Azzarello L Blazer? Or both? It's been a while.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. The Azzarello that I have, now that I think of it, is the Richard Corbin Hellblazer. I think he wrote that. Not 100% sure. Yeah, Undead Quiz. I don't mind his indie stuff. Yeah, I haven't read a ton of his indie stuff just because 100 Bullets put me off of Azzarello. So it was kind of like I should try his stuff again. I didn't think he was a terrible. What it was in 100 Bullets, he used too much slang that I didn't know if it was slang or not. That didn't appeal to me. That Brian Azzarello Bat was weird to read. Was it as weird as Beard Pirate Viking Queen? That's my weirdest book of the week. I don't know if you were here for the beginning when I was talking about that, but that's a strange one. But I got in a bunch of remember a couple of months ago I was doing a bunch of Kickstarters for digital comics.
Mm-hmm.
A bunch of those actually came in, and some of like the bonus stuff. Let me see if I can find what it is. Comic books. Where is I put it all? I use this app for reading comics called iComics, just the letter I and then comics, which is pretty good. Just lets you organize your digital comics. You just load them to your iPad. Like I've got art books, favorites, cover collections, which I made myself, by the way. Kickstarters, new comics to try out. I've got one section just for pinups. Oh, I didn't put the I in Kickstarter, but one of the ones I just got was one called B Mecha 2, which is one I seem to be getting not safe for work comics. And not safe for work queer comics too. I seem to be getting a lot of. And the bonus stuff, was just like this nudie what I'll look at. And a lot of them are done by women too. That's what I find a bit odd. It's like women are doing all the nudie comics these days on Kickstarter, at least the ones I find. And this one was just like her sending nude pictures to her husband who drives one of the mechs. So that's the whole concept behind that one. And then I read, this is the second issue I haven't read yet, but I read the first issue, which wasn't a not safe for work comic. Besides that, had cursing in it. And it was a story of, I don't know where there's guys in mechs fighting kaiju. In that kaiju just sometimes appear in the city, and they've been building these mechs and guys are piloting to fight the kaiju. And there's all sorts of stuff going on where they're underfunded, they're getting in trouble for wrecking too much of the city while they wreck the kaiju, and stuff like that is going on. But it was a good first issue. Haven't read the second one yet. But then I also got with this other one, they do things like if you pledge a couple dollars more, you get an Indie Comics digital starter pack or something, where they just gave me 12 indie comics. I don't even know. The Bridge Builders Creed is one of them. I don't know what these are. I've never heard of them. Amelia Sky. But I haven't read any of them yet. For, a couple of bucks, it's a good deal. Cinderella Dreaming. Once again, no idea. Never heard of the people who do them. Lawful Evil. It's like there's this whole world of indie Kickstarters out there that I know nothing about. There's one of the, goes with that B Mecha stuff. I think this is one of the not safe for work ones from that cover. What else is here? A Lungful of Brine, nautical horror stories. And I think this pack cost me like $16 for these extras. No spell lasts forever. Like I got the regular digital comic, which was like $8, and then upgraded to get all these indie digital packs.
Too much purple.
There are no heroes.
Too much blue.
Thoughtscape Comics. No color at all. But like these are and Turtle Man Year One. All those ones came in the indie set stuff. Oh, and then there's this is the where is the Jimmy Palmiotti stuff? I read one issue of it so far. Phantasma. That's issue 2. There's issue 3. So this is I've been getting, the last couple of weeks I've been getting in a lot of the stuff. Oh, I think this came as a bonus with one of Jimmy's I Eat Monsters, because that's his writing partner, his old writing partner Gray there, right? Whatever his name is. Oh, something first book. That's one of the indie ones that one looks like they got to give it away for free. I don't want to prejudge it or whatever, but The Hunters was a one I got from Jimmy too, I think. I don't remember if it was an add-on to the other one or not. But just figured I'd show some of those off because I've been getting a bunch. They've been, the Kickstarters have been coming true the last couple of weeks. So Brian Azzarello Bat was weird to read. You can try Brian Azzarello Moonshine. Okay. I may have read an issue of that. It's American Gangster meets Wolf Story. Yeah, I think I read an issue of that. It was pretty good. Batman was, yeah. Tad type. Yeah, I think I read one issue, maybe 2 of Moonshine. That was I kind of liked it, but it didn't get on my pull list thing.
Have you read? Is published around here. I think it's up to volume 5.
Yeah, that many.
Yeah.
Wow.
They wanted to have an Azzarello library.
Okay. Have you done Kickstarter at all?
No, I'm not going to pay $50 for 24 pages of story.
Well, like I said, I'm doing the digital stuff. It's much better. Because you're right. It's the most expensive way to buy comics. So it's kind of like, But once I made my peace with going, it's okay that I get the digital ones on Kickstarter. I'm much happier. What was I just looking at? I was just looking at some book. They're like, oh, new version of this. We're kickstarting it. And I looked it up and it was like, $35. I'm like, when this goes on sale at the shop, it's not going to be that much. I was just like, holy cow. Well, they have a complete collection of Azzarello's Batman. And let's see. Maria Lovett's Crave.
It should be ending, no?
This is the end. Issue 6. And it was solidly okay. I would have to say that to describe the entire series. It was a solid B. But a solid B doesn't necessarily make me want to pick up the next series she's doing, which is advertised in the back here. I don't know. It's the next one is All the Things We Didn't Do Last Night, Criminals to Lovers. July 2024. And the trade is on set. The trade of this is on sale in September. I think I like her covers more than I like her comics. but it's a $4 comic, not a 5. So I'll have to see if in July I might be interested. Oh, there's another one in September. Violent Flowers. I, okay. All the Things We Didn't Do Last Night is a sexy one-shot compilation of Lovett's 3-part story from the Image Anniversary anthology. I have the Image Anniversary anthology and didn't like it very much. So I don't think I need to buy that. I don't even remember the story. That was very disappointing, that Image anthology. Her works got to read more. I don't like her writing styles. Yeah, I was not a fan of her writing style, and I think she's very talented, but sometimes her just get it done artwork lets me down a little. Like when she does a panel with blank faces in it for no particular reason. Except I guess she wasn't drawing faces there. And she also signed every page in this one. I know I've seen that in some European works, but you don't see that too often over here. That little circle is her signature.
Mm-hmm.
So I found that a little distracting on occasion. But I guess she likes to finish it and sign it. Unless it's put on no, that one's. I wonder if it's put on digitally. Might be put on digitally. Or might not. No, I don't think so. There's enough variation in the little shadow she's drawing. Okay, so now I only have to decide if I want to pick up, what was that one? Violent Flowers. Vengeance blooms in their veins. Her women are pretty.
Yep.
She's good at drawing pretty. That's a nice face right there. That looks like Frank Miller, doesn't it? Well, that looks like pretty Frank Miller.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't notice that before. Because those lips are Frank Miller-ish. And the weird blobs of shading in her fingers are Frank Miller-ish. Weird blobs of shading. Want to do a rip, read, and slab?
Let's do it.
Pick a decade.
Ooh. Let's do 90s.
The 90s. All right. Let's see what I got in the 90s. We're going to do September 1995, The Ugly Ladies. There we go.
Oh.
We got Venom, New Warriors, and Wildcats.
Yeah.
With some Scott Koblish inks on that best of Bride of Venom. Which cover is sexiest? That's the big question.
Hmm. None of them?
I don't. Do you remember anyone named Greg S. Luzniak? I don't.
No, I remember Scott. What was Scott Wozniak or Steve Wozniak?
Steve Wozniak is the Apple guy.
But it was Chris Wozniak. That was
yes.
Greg Luzniak, I have no idea.
Yeah. I think there may have been like a dollar version of that Venom. I don't remember. Bride of Venom. Or am I thinking of something else? I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm going to rip Venom.
Oh, come on, that beautiful cover.
Yes. And I'm going to slab New Warriors and read Wildcats.
I have read that Wildcats. Is that the Alan Moore run?
Yeah, that's when they go back to their home planet.
Yeah, that's a good run. Let's see what's Tip Goblin gonna do. He's gonna slab Wildcats. J. Lee cover. No, that's a Travis Charest cover.
Mm-hmm.
Rip Warriors. Read Venom. Dolphin the Warrior Woman.
That's Namorita.
That's Namorita? Okay. Nita's back.
Yeah, with spikes.
Undead Queen is going to rip New Warriors, slab Wildcats, and read Venom 3.
So I'm going to replace the Sinner Takes All bullet in Venom with the Dolphin. And the flamingos will be perched on Namorita's spikes.
Oh. Since I've got an in with Scott Koblish, I'm going to get an autographed CGC Venom Sinner Takes All number 3. Sinner Takes All. Oh, man, I just said that out loud and it hurt. Which means I'm going to... Well, I've already read that Wildcats, so I'm going to rip it, even though it's probably the only comic of these 3 that I like. I'm still going to rip it. And I'm going to read New Warriors. I might not like it, but I'll read it, darn it.
Yeah, Fabian Nicieza already quit writing, and it was Evan Skolnick.
Ah, Evan. I've got an in with him, too. I can get him to autograph.
Ah. So you can get 2 slabs.
Yeah.
Too bad you don't have an in with Alan Moore.
No, I don't.
Okay, Alan Moore, Ryan Benjamin, Art Bear. Where's the Johnson? Evan
was an assistant editor at Marvel in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And he went on to work for various, I think a couple of different video game companies, writing for the video game companies. And now he teaches writing. And a lot of the writing he teaches is for writing for video games. Andrew Papoy, he's done. I got at least one Archie horror cover that he did that's really good. I didn't realize he was an inker back then. Patrick Zurcher, I remember. I think I see him on like on Twitter posting stuff.
On Twitter. He gets annoyed easily by contrary opinions.
What is Tit Goblin saying here? Nostalgia is odd. All those covers suck, but my 90s kid brain loves them because it thinks they're totally awesome.
Yeah. The power of the 90s.
Yeah. Let's see. Where am I going to... Since they're all single figures, it's tough to replace anything with a dolphin.
Yeah.
But I'll on the Wildcats, I'll replace her front hand with a dolphin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And instead of turning into a Daemonite, she's turning into a dolphin.
Yeah.
A Daemon dolphin.
And I'm going to put the pink flamingos on that same cover way down the bottom. So you don't even see their feet. You just kind of see the top of their legs and they're standing on the ground near her somewhere in the back. Just watching their transformation.
Yeah, they're thinking, oh, stop being a drama queen, Priscilla.
But that was I liked the way that Alan Moore ended the war in Wildcats.
Yep.
Because for those of you who don't know, Wildcats originally started as a war between two different species who were on Earth. The Daemonites, was that them?
Yep.
Who were like the dire wraiths in Rom, in that they could shapeshift and pretend to be human beings.
And take over bodies.
And take over bodies. And what was the name of the good guys? The Kerim?
They started as Cherubim, and then they were changed to Karens because the planet was called Kara.
Okay. So and they looked just like human beings. And they were the good guys. So there was this covert war going on Earth between the Daemonites and the Carib, whatever their name was, who are the superheroes, the Wildcats. So there's this covert war going on between them, which was going on like all over the galaxy. So Alan Moore ended the war by having them go back to their home planet and finding out the war ended a generation ago and nobody told them because Earth was like some backwater planet that wasn't important. So they had been fighting this war back on Earth for no reason.
So when you take into account how self-important Jacob Marlowe was, and then we didn't bother with you, Jacob Marlowe. But worse yet, Hellspawn thought he was a big deal Daemonite guy. Big armor, fire everywhere,
right?
And nobody told him either. Hey, you lost. I, Hellspawn, do not lose. No, but nobody told him. He probably would have reacted like that. I don't lose.
Too much of a backwater for anybody to care about.
So
they ended like.
But there's a story there if they wanted to. Of course, by that time, the Earth storyline, I mean, nobody really cared about Hellspawn.
No.
His henchman, Pike, was much more interesting visually, even though for all intents and purposes, he was Bullseye.
Our under-the-weather Wilson is going to slab Wildcats, read New Warriors, and rip Venom. Good evening. I think I had read some Wildcats, but I think I quit. I came back on because Alan Moore was coming on. Or maybe I stuck with it. Yeah, because that's only issue. What do you remember? What issue Alan Moore came on?
19, I think.
So I may have, because I don't think I started buying Wildcats till like issue 6 or 7.
No, well, out of all of the Image number ones, Wildcats is probably the best overall product.
My favorite Image book from those original launch days was Stormwatch.
But Stormwatch was Wildstorm's second book. So
right, I can't vouch for it now because I haven't read it since the early 90s. But what I liked about it was one of the first comics to kind of really bring world politics into superheroing.
Yeah,
which was interesting at the time. It's been done a lot since then, but that was around the first. That's the first time I remember it being done.
Well, it wasn't the first. You had Suicide Squad and Checkmate at DC.
Yeah, I didn't read those at all. So
the Suicide Squad is pretty good, although it gets to a point where they start doing regular, unrelated superhero stuff because it's still a superhero comic. Checkmate gets more grounded on the politics because nobody in the team has superpowers. Although Harvey Bullock was one of the directors for some reason. Suppose that was their way of getting a Bat character. I mean, Batman shows up in the early days of Suicide Squad.
Tit Goblin says Max and Pitt was my favorite Image. He likes those double consonants at the end. I remember trying to get into Pitt. Besides the really nice Dale Keown artwork, there was just nothing to it. I mean, I only read some issues here or there, so I can't judge it as a whole, and my opinion is 30 years old or
Mm. And he didn't finish the story.
expired. But
He gave up on it. But the only Pitt I've read was when he guest starred in an issue of Codename Strike Force, which was Mark Silvestri's other team.
I I
Drum,
remember I bought some Codename Strike Force. I probably still have it here somewhere. I cannot for the life of me remember what it was about.
yeah, it was about nothing. It was a bunch of guys fighting and blowing up stuff.
Yeah, that's what a lot of Image stuff was.
Yeah, the draw was that it was drawn by Brendan Peterson, and Brendan
Okay.
Peterson was a more solid artist than Mark Silvestri at the time.
The Max would be a cool read, says Undead Quinn. Yeah, I never got into the Max much either, but I only ever read an issue or two of it.
Yeah,
maybe.
I have a hard time getting into Sam Keith's art.
Yeah. But yeah, I remember what was it? What was Silvestri's book?
Cyberforce.
Cyberforce. Yeah, I don't remember that one at all. I bought it. I probably have 25 issues of Cyberforce on my shelf somewhere. I cannot tell you anything except that all the Image teams were the same. That there were usually 5 core members.
Yep.
There was the leader who was sort of the Captain America type, Spartan, military guy.
Yep.
There was the really big guy who was the muscle.
Yep.
And then there was either 2 or 3 women. At least 2 of them were flying and had distance powers.
Yeah, and at least one of them was a ninja, and the second one should be.
And then you had if your Captain America wasn't, you had like a weapons expert hothead.
Yeah.
And they all kind of followed that formula. Sometimes, like I said, sometimes there'd be 2 men and 3 women. Sometimes there'd be 3 men and 2 women. They could make that hothead, but it's like the women always had like the distance powers or the telepathic powers or the spooky powers. They weren't the giants.
Nope. Although eventually there was one in Stormwatch.
Yeah. Wilson says, I picked up many of the Image books, Brittany, but I don't recall a single storyline. Yeah. I remember, the Alan Moore storyline. I remember the Warren Ellis storylines. Another one I must have picked up 20 issues of, Wetworks. I don't remember that at all.
It had something about werewolves.
Oh, was that one? There was a bunch of guys in gold armor.
Yeah.
And were they fighting werewolves? Was that it?
I think so, yeah. Their leader was retconned into being on the same team as Lynch and Grifter.
Team 7?
Team 7, yeah.
I bought some Grifter comics too. I always liked them, but I have no memory of anything specific that ever happened in a Grifter comic.
The thing about the Wildstorm universe is that it works better if you have a bunch of people on the same comic. So the solo Grifter is probably the least interesting of the bunch, I imagine. But Backlash lasted for a while, but I have zero interest in it.
Yeah. That's the one I always wanted to try and never did. But yeah, Grifter, I think I liked the solo Grifter. Just there were always like 4-issue series or something, just because I liked his look. He had that weird flowing mask. He was shooting stuff. He always looked cool. That might be the only reason I liked Grifter.
Yeah, 90s kid brain.
Tit Goblin says, Trencher was and still is my favorite early Image comic. The art style is so crazy. That's a running joke, Trencher, with my friend and former Marvel Comics editor Barry Dutter, who lives out in LA now and deals in comics. So he's always buying and selling collections. That's how he makes his living these days. And he's always joking because he finds endless copies of Trencher #1. Because it was a pretty big selling comic. You know, it was one of those early Image Comics #1, but no one is interested in Trencher.
Or Tribe.
There was another. But he finds Trencher more than Tribe, I think.
What was Tribe about? I know it was by Larry Stroman.
I have an issue or two of it. The story that went with that one is always that Larry Stroman made so much money off of issue #1 that he just didn't work for a while.
Yeah.
So issue #2. It's like it only lasted a few issues because he made so much money he didn't want to draw anymore.
Yeah. And then there was Jerry Ordway's Wild Star, which the Brazilians published for some reason.
That one always looked so plain to me.
Yeah.
Compared to all the other crazy Image stuff. Not that Jerry Ordway can't draw, not that it wasn't that, but it always just so plain.
And Mike Grell at a comic too, Shaman's Tears, I think.
That's right.
But I don't know what it was about.
I don't think I bought any of them. But Tit Goblin is right. These covers are growing on me the more I look at them.
Yeah.
I mean, that Venom cover is just insane, but I'm liking it more and more as I see it.
If we're from the outside looking into the 90s, you notice all of the ridiculous things.
Yeah.
But then
I kind of enjoying the ridiculousness.
Yeah, and then you get into it, and it's all around. Yeah, 90s, because that's what the 90s were. The 90s had a lot of ridiculous things, and we all embraced it. So what's the problem? There's no problem.
I think context has also given us. We've got the same covers with no ridiculousness in them now, so they're kind of boring. So what it is let me remove that from the stage finally. I think a lot of modern covers rely on technique.
I don't think they rely on anything. They because nobody picks up a comic that's not a #1. You really don't have to make an effort selling the remainder of the run.
I'm not even talking. I'm talking probably more I'm talking like if you're an Art Germ fan, it's because you like his technique.
Right.
You're a Scotty Young fan, it's because you like his technique. And there's a lot of guys now who do that. Who even Alex Ross. You're an Alex Ross fan because you like his technique.
Right.
You're not an Alex Ross. Well, Alex Ross is a good image maker too, so it's tough to put him. I think he may have been like. There are a lot of covers now where the image isn't particularly interesting. It's a guy standing there, a woman standing there, but people like the technique with which it is done. They find it pretty or interesting or cool rather than, trying to make the cover, make an interesting image, make whatever you're drawing interesting, whatever it is you're like, though that 90s stuff, even they were trying to make those drawings interesting. What was interesting at the time was detail. Oh, look at that. So a lot of those artists were, putting in, what makes it ridiculous is the detail they're putting in, which makes no sense visually, kind of. It makes no sense that detail should be there. But that is what made a drawing interesting in 1994, whenever that was. But now that doesn't make a drawing interesting. What makes a drawing interesting is getting the shading from dark to light just right. in whatever technique you're using.
Although there really was a lot of stuff that got lost. Also, it's interesting how Image. Well, we know what happened. It was because of the names attached, but Image became the symbol, and the Ultraverse kind of got lost in the shuffle.
Right.
People don't remember the Ultraverse as much.
No.
I think there's more nostalgia for Valiant, which is why it keeps coming back.
Yep.
And then there's the thing that nobody wants to remember, which is comics' greatest world.
Oh yeah. But I think Valiant can come back too, because you can license Valiant's characters and make them your, or buy them outright. Like
yeah,
like the Ultraverse, Marvel owns and has no interest in publishing, so no one else can do it either. I wonder when those rights will revert back to the creators.
They won't.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, I don't think that. I'm not sure they can revert to the creators, but they will always have to pay royalties to them.
Well, I don't know.
If I know that Disney doesn't want to pay royalties which are owed, even.
Yeah,
but
right. We didn't sign those contracts. Some other company did.
Yeah, but if in this case, if Disney tries to do something with the Ultraverse, you just know that Scott Mitchell Rosenberg is going to sue Disney.
Right. Well, I'm just thinking, whatever that law is that they where an artist can claim back copyright.
But that doesn't apply to stuff created in the 90s.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering if it did or not.
No, it's because of the 1976 new copyright law, which came into effect in 78. That increased copyright time from it was 28 plus 28, and then increased to a full 75. So that it was decided that those 19 years, that the way the law was established, the creator needed to be compensated by losing those 19 years, which is why it was decided that if the creator wanted, they could claim the copyright back. So yeah, the company had 56 years and the creator had 19. But that only applied to things that existed before 1976.
Ah, okay. So it's never going to revert back.
Nope.
That's what I thought, but I'm not sure. Goblin says, I found the 90s. What was that?
In 2087, it will.
Oh, yeah, there you go. I found the 90s appealing because the image making made me feel an emotion of creativity and freshness. The lack of skill was accepted by my brain because skill is replaced with youth energy. Yeah. Well, looking back at things looked cool, and I didn't care if it didn't make sense craft-wise. I think that's actually gotten lost in intervening years, and that's what made, as much as I wasn't a huge fan of it, those artists were really trying to make things look cool. That's where all that crazy detail, I'll put that in quotes again, came from, is they were just trying to make things look cool. I don't know that there's a ton of guys just trying to make things look cool.
No, for two reasons. The main one, nobody's having fun.
Yeah.
And the second reason, everybody's getting famous when they're old.
Yeah.
If you get famous in comics after the age of 29, you're old.
Yeah.
You don't do cool anymore. You're not cool. You're 30.
All right. The Max hardcovers are pricey to get. I'll find it in the wild. Yeah. Which brings us to, these are the guys who I think are trying their best to do cool. I picked up Godzilla, War for Humanity, issue number 5. And I picked up issue 3 of this and was gonna put it on my pull list, but never quite saw it and got it on there. So I missed issue 4. So now I've got issue 3 and 5. But guys who are like drawing like James Stokoe, this isn't him. And guys who are putting their all into this sort of Japanese American crossover stuff. I think are the guys who are trying to make things look cool. I see a lot of guys on Godzilla trying to make it look cool. It's like and this is Jake Smith is his name. Yeah, Jake Smith, colors by Valentina Pinto, letters by Russ Wutan. But I think that's a nice cover. And he's trying to make it look cool. And maybe it's because all these artists really like Godzilla. And they want to make their mark on Godzilla and make it look cool. But I have to say some of the art that I'd say where they're trying to make it look cool the most is these Godzilla books I pick up on occasion. Like that's where I first saw James Stokoe, who I mentioned before. Yeah, those new Godzillas are great. Yeah, I mean, it's just fun. The artwork is fun and cool. And the story, like those images, the story is just kind of, who cares? There's stuff going on like there is in any Godzilla movie. But so few artists are really trying to make it look cool, sort of like those image guys were. But like you said, once you reach a certain age, you're not trying to make it look cool. So
yeah.
Their color is also great. It's candy. Yeah. Like Petrolhead, that candy comic, as I always called it. But that one, and once again, we're back to, I'm the rare person who just pick up issue 5. I saw it on the shelf. I only had 4 other comics. So I'm like, you know what? That cover is so cool. And I'm like, oh, I remember I wanted to check out more of that book. So I'm like, all right, I'll pick up issue 5. No problem. But as we know, most comic fans aren't like that. Where did Alex Zirrit comic go in comics? Well, that name sounds familiar, but I don't know who it is. Have you heard of him, Paolo?
No.
He had a hell of a style of neon black light. Cool. I have to get myself a black light bulb. Just because I got that one DC comic in the Black Light series. I have to see it. He was Space Riders. Oh, okay. Yes. I remember Sleepy Reader getting that one.
Oh.
I don't think I got that one. I don't know where he went. But another weirdo who tries to make things look cool, what's his name? Joseph Smalky. He's been doing those 7 Years in Darkness books. I've been enjoying those. He's got kind of a outsider art look to it.
Or who else do we?
Bumperhead. The more I look at this cover, the more I like it too. Just him kind of looking at us with all those characters behind him. With his green punk rock hair and earring and X shirt.
When did it first come out?
2014.
2014. Okay, so it's Pedro Hernandez trying to do good Chris Ware.
I don't know. I think it's more like, because I think all of his stuff is like this.
Mhm.
Not just this book. That's kind of how I describe all of his work. He creates characters and things happen to them. Because even all of his other stuff really doesn't have a lot of structure to it. Except for his movie adaptations, which are not real movies. They're movies in his fictional universe. But they're also strange movies. They're not like Hollywood. They're weird, strange Mexican movies. So don't expect them to be like normal. But at least they have more of a structure to them than his. He creates characters and things happen to them universe. Palomar. Let me see something. What's going on? Nothing. Mm-hmm. Now I'll have to find. Oh, I have to read. I still haven't read the. It's funny. I reread stuff, but I still have stuff to read for the first time.
Yeah.
Like that. The new version of Matt Wagner's Grendel.
Oh.
And the second volume of what's their names? The monstrous duo, Night Eaters. I still got that on the shelf, amongst other things. As I sit here and think, what do I want to read from 10 years ago? But it's funny, until that guy with the iPad showed up, I was like, I don't think I ever read this. I think it's been sitting on my shelf for 10 years unread. No, it's sitting on my shelf for 10 years, read once. Your art would look cool under black light. Yeah, all those war canvases behind you would totally pop. I'm gonna have to try that. It's funny. I was just my friend Ed, who I've mentioned before, Boas Noites Compadres. Is that good night?
Yeah. Good evening.
Good evening. I agree with Tit Goblin. Image was for comics what grunge groups were for rock. If you listen to Soundgarden's album, you'd wanted to form a band. You read an Image comic, you had to do a comic. Oh, yeah. Here are three chords. Go form a band.
I'm going to make my own version of the X-Men.
Dun, dun, dun.
With blackjack and hookers. But we all have blackjack and hookers.
I'm going to make a guy with claws. Claws are cool.
And it's going to be called Death Slasher. No, you have to invert it. You have to be slash death.
How many characters in the early 90s do you think had a healing factor? Good morning. It's 8 a.m. here. Ooh, in Malaysia. Sungai Buloh, Malaysia. Good morning. Because it's like I think that the healing factor was the greatest superhero power invention ever.
Mm-hmm.
Because it finally allowed all these superheroes and villains to chop each other up with no consequence.
Yep.
They could finally be super violent and it'd all be okay. All of them had healing factors. Exactly. Hope Sam Keith continues Max Comics. Aha! Just want to hear you speak Malay.
No, you don't, Azar. Jared does not know how to pronounce anything foreign.
I'm good with English. That's it.
They have to teach him how to pronounce Spanish and Italian names.
And I forget the next week.
Yeah. You're the Homer Simpson of pronunciation.
Just can't. I was seeing some name this week, and I was like, "Oh, I think there's an accent over that. That means I pronounce it," but I didn't get it right. I think it was an accent over a U somewhere in the middle of the word. I don't even remember what name it was. I was like, I know to pronounce that U. It's the only thing I know. Bumperhead.
Getting back to comics' greatest world. Okay,
Yep.
nobody remembers any of
No.
the comics from it. I mean, the only thing.
No, was that creator owned or not?
Not.
What
Not.
the one with the Easter Island head was the creator owned one, right?
Yeah, Legend.
Legend.
Mhm.
Comics' greatest world was Dark
The
Horse's attempt to create their own comic book superhero universe.
That's right.
Ghost.
Mhm.
That's all I got.
X.
X.
Yeah, you remember X, the
I
guy with an
remember
X
X.
over his eye. Mhm. And I have no idea.
We got two of them.
Yeah, I don't even know who wrote it. Drew Ghost, and that was the most successful one.
I know Adam Hughes did some covers on it. That's why it was probably the most successful. He did some
Yeah.
nice covers for Ghost.
Mhm. And X, I guess they tried to do something cool, but it didn't
He
work.
was their Batman Wolverine character.
And he was called X.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, I didn't read any of those. I remember seeing them go by. I read some of the stuff in DHP. Like they revived Ghost in like volume 2 of DHP in like the aughts. I remember reading a couple stories there. Wilson remembers X too. X.
Okay, so Barbed Wire is supposed to be part of the universe.
Yeah, she was part of them. But
There
that was a
something.
licensed book.
Was it? No, it wasn't.
Because that was a TV show, right?
No. The movie's an adaptation of the comic, but
Yeah.
it has nothing to do with the comic.
Ah, so it was a comic first, and
Yep.
then who starred in the movie? What's her name?
Pamela Anderson.
Pamela Anderson. And the comic had nothing to do with Pamela Anderson?
That's right.
But didn't she eventually end up on some of the covers?
Probably.
Yeah. I think I have some. I maybe even have a cover collection of, but did I ever collect that? Let me quickly look in my iPad in my covers section and see if I ever saved any. I have a vague memory of looking at some
Right, so
maybe Adam Hughes drawn covers.
There's something called Catalyst.
Nope, no Barbed Wire. I do have Zoot comics.
Zoot comics.
Let's see. Why are they two up? They should not be two up. I think they changed how this looks at PDFs. 1946. I don't know why. I just think there was one at the end that was really cool that got me looking at old. Oh, it was the Jungle Woman ones that got me looking at Zoot comics.
Yeah.
So then I collected the covers to them off of something.
Oh, so those are reprints of Jumbo?
What was that?
Those are reprints of the 40s Jumbo comics?
No, these are just the covers I collected from the 40s comics on some site somewhere. You know that site that has the I don't know the name of it. It's got like public domain comics, and it has scans of all these public domain comics. Zoot was one of them. So I just downloaded just the cover. You can download the whole comic if you want. I downloaded just the covers because sometimes I just like collect covers in digital. Like, here's all the David Aha covers in digital format. And it's not supposed to be displaying them this way. They must have changed this program to display spreads. I noticed it's been doing. So because I have these all one to a page. I don't know why it's displaying them too. like, here's all the Master of Kung Fu covers. And they're just scans I downloaded. But I put them into their own, books, kind of, so I could look at them. But I don't know why it's giving me... But I have them all set up to only be one. I don't know why it's giving me two. That's weird. Death Slasher. It works as a comic and a rock band. Paolo is a marketing whiz. Dark Horse should continue its Legends imprint. Only Mignola can try bring back Adams, Miller, Jeff Darrow, John Byrne, Paul Chadwick, or new creators like James. Well, Frank Miller's got his own line now, so he's got Frank Miller Comics.
Yeah, and Mignola, both Mignola and Chadwick continue doing what they do. It says Chadwick predates Legend. The rest of the John Byrne took his stuff elsewhere to IDW.
John Byrne doesn't do comics anymore.
Yeah, he doesn't. But at the time, he tried bringing
except his fan comics. He does those.
Yeah. Yeah, but about 2007, I think he tried to bring back Next Man.
Yeah.
That's what the rest of it.
I remember big muscle Superman type guy was part of that Dark Horse universe. I would think so. I did some X sketch cards for Cryptozoic Entertainment, says Wilson. Wow. Sam Need, Daniel Warren Johnson, Burnham, Marcos Martin. Yeah, they got a lot. If they want to work, Dark Horse has the money. Yeah, they can put out their own Legends. Comic Book Plus has 3 PD books. Oh.
And they have Karen Berger.
Comic Book Plus. I guess that's a site with free public domain books. Okay. Yeah, I don't know I forget which site I use, but every now and then I go look at it. Vortex, Motorhead, Tigerhead. I don't remember.
I think those are some of the characters from the comics' greatest world.
Yeah. I certainly don't know them, though. The last comic I got this week is What's the Furthest Place from Here? Wow, what a boring cover. Footprints in the Snow. Could you get a more boring cover?
Yeah. They should have got John Byrne to draw that cover. Nobody draws snow like John Byrne.
A baby was born this issue.
Okay.
This woman who's been pregnant for the last I don't know how many issues.
That is the most boring double page spread ever.
Oh no, it's not more boring than a lot of those Walking Dead ones. I gotta disagree. I'm not saying telling is exciting. I'm just telling you The Walking Dead has all of the most boring double page spreads wrapped up. And this is another one. It's a big book. I'll see how many pages this is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 pages. So that's 13. 20, 13 doubles 26. So it's 54 pages. Even though they do waste about a bunch of like 6 or 8 pages like that, still it's a pretty big book with the chapter headings. And it goes, oh no, this one's got a little preview in the back. It often goes all the way to the back. So it's a good 40 pages of story, I would say. How much was this? $4. So a good deal. That's a nice page right there. But this is the story about the world where the kids were growing up without any grown-ups around. And we only recently, this is issue 18, and only like 2 issues ago did we find out why there were no grown-ups around. And then the last issue has been about this wandering pregnant girl. She's about 17, 18. And usually when they become adults, they disappear from the city. But you know what? That one might be described as this type of storytelling. I need a name for it now, where they create characters and then things happen to those characters. What would be a good name for that type of storytelling? What to think on that one? It's just sort of a meandering type. It's kind of not tightly structured at all.
Something that sounds like shit happens.
Yeah, shit happens storytelling. Or stuff happens for the stuff happens isn't nearly as, but shit happens sounds like bad things are happening. Well, we'll work it out. We'll work it out because I just realized it with that's his type of storytelling with this reading this because he didn't learn any lessons by the end of it. He wasn't on a hero's journey. There was nothing so different about him at the end as at the beginning. He became maybe a little more contemplative, but hardly so. At least he didn't become his dad, who was just sort of cut off. But his dad was also more involved with the world than he was, being that he went to Mexico and fathered 7 children. And he could barely get out of his house to meet people.
I don't want to use the word mundane to describe.
That's too judgmental.
Yeah.
Shit happens storytelling is better so far. It's alliterative and people know what it is. Meandering. I prefer shit happens genre. Yeah. See, now I could like David Lapham's storytelling would really be shit happens because bad stuff happens to all his characters. But it wasn't all bad stuff that happened to Bumperhead. Some of it was. Life happens storytelling. And then a subgenre will be shit happens storytelling. That'll be David Lapham. Yeah, like who done it genre. Life happens story, life happens genre. Subgenre, shit happens.
That's life.
That's life storytelling.
That's what all the people say. Red in April, shut down in May.
Who done it genre? I like mysteries. Do you have any genre favorites in movies, books, or comics?
No, but I like going over genre. I can
Like
watch.
what?
I like going over everything that's genre.
Oh, okay, you like genre in general.
Yeah. Unlike the intellectuals who despise genre, I welcome genre.
Okay.
I know what the story is going to be. I just want to know if it's being well done.
Like caper movies are some of my favorite. That's one of my favorite genres is the caper movie.
Escape from New York was on TV today here.
What was that?
Escape from New York was on TV today.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
The cheese ball guy?
Was that Escape from LA?
No, there was some I just saw in the news there was some guy was becoming a viral sensation in New York City. I forget which park in Manhattan. He just announced he was going to eat a whole bucket of cheese balls. So he showed up in, I don't know, Madison Square Park, Union Square Park, wherever, with, a little gallon thing of cheese balls and a couple hundred people to cheer him on as he ate the cheese balls. It was just a moment of silliness kind of thing.
Right.
And reporters showed up and
nothing happened then if the reporters showed up.
Enjoy
we
a
are here
good
to
hunt.
We are here to interview Cheeseball Guy. Cheeseball Guy, please tell us, why do you want to eat cheese balls?
If you want a good heist comic, Sean Martinborough, Thief of Thieves. That was about 40 issues or so. There's many heists in there, but that was probably my favorite heist comic. And I have to say, another genre of movie that has grown on me over the last, I don't know, 20 years or so, probably because it was invented, is the time loop movie.
Mm.
I like time loop movies. I find them kind of interesting. Just not the Scott Lobdell written one. I forget what the name of it is, but I discovered it one day and was like, oh, another time loop movie. Someone mentioned it as a time loop movie. So I looked it up and I was watching it and checking it out. And I was like, oh, this is not particularly good. And then I was like, and it seems like a sequel. You know, the way it started seemed like a sequel. So I was like, you know what? Let me look up and see if it was, in fact, a sequel. And I found it was a sequel. I started to watch the first one and couldn't even make it through it. It was so terrible. And then I found out that was a movie series created by Scott Lobdell. I was like, whoa, cool. He got his own movie. I forget what the name of it is, but you can look up comic book writer Scott Lobdell on IMDb. You can probably find them. But the second one was not very good, but the first one I found unwatchable, but something like a cheerleader caught in a time loop. But I love that Tom Cruise one. And I actually tracked down and I can't remember the name. I think the name of it is 12 p.m. Do you know Red from that 70s show?
No, never saw that 70s show.
Happy Death Day. Okay, that was the name of the time loop one that Scott Lobdell did. I enjoy the genre of artist, musician, or creative person going about their life, and it's a retrospective biography type of portrait of them. Yeah, like that one you showed me last week. That was a good one. Well, anyway, Red. And it turns out this was the short that inspired Groundhog Day.
Mm.
So it's from the late 80s or whatever it was. And it was that actor who played Red, whose name I can't remember, on that 70s show. He starred in it's only like 20 minutes or so, 15 or 20 minutes. And I think it's called 12 p.m. And he's caught in a time loop, only it's an hour. And it's his lunch hour. So every day for him starts with him walking to the park in whatever city he's in, and it caught in a time loop. And it, of course, takes him a couple minutes to figure out what's going on. And then he tries to figure out how to get out of it. Kurtwood Smith, Red Foreman. Okay, Kurtwood Smith. And it's depressing because he doesn't figure out a way out of the time loop. But it's interesting him trying. But like I said, it's only a short called 12 p.m. But that was one of the original time loop movies. And of course, where is that one? This is the manga that the Tom Cruise movie, Something Tomorrow, is based on. And I enjoy that movie, but this is even better than the movie. It is really well done. Time loop story with that weird Japanese name, All You Need Is Kill. But if you get a chance to pick this up and read it, go. Matter of fact, this might go in my reread piles. That's also the one that made me realize that it's everything in there is good except the action scenes. The action scenes are just like confusing. Can you fly, Bobby? Ah, Kurtwood and RoboCop. Edge of Tomorrow. Yeah, that's the one. The Edge of Tomorrow is based on that manga. All you need is kill. Sorry, typo, bad bought. So yeah, that happens. Thanks, Ramos Comics. We'll look into it. Happy Death. Yeah, Happy Death Day was Scott Lobdell. Shocking. All right, well, we should wrap it up for the evening. We're getting in closing time.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna see if I can get some sleep. I was watching the fossils on Wednesday. I was on Grotu's channel yesterday, and I'm here today.
It's time to get some sleep.
Yeah.
No more Yankee my wanky. The donger need food.
Because Graphic Man has been doing has restructured the fossil show to just have one person at a time.
Right.
Grotu decided to do a show on Thursday with everybody coming in, but there's no theme. So
I enjoyed Boss Lava. I remember I saw that one and liked it, but I don't really remember it right now. It's another time loop movie. Feel better, Wilson, says Tit Goblin. We all say feel better, Wilson. And we'll let Paolo get to bed. All right.
Yep.
So everybody out there, have a good night. We'll catch you next time.
See ya.
It's trying to end the stream, but will it?
It's trying to end.